And everyone who is a fan of these books as a child will get my joke. A series of unfortunate choices is the little concept there. So my presentation is on ignoring second guessing and becoming confident with your answers. So I kind of thought about what I think would apply to people that are in any range of their studying. So for myself, I'm about a third of the way through mine. I'm taking the April LSAT, but I wanted something that would apply to someone that, this is their first class or they're taking the January LSAT. So really what the problem I want to identify today is second guessing choices and kind of the devastating impact they can have on your test score through a variety of ways. So some of the ways I'll kind of discuss are, timing, morale, and your overall focus on the test. And that can be a major impact where, when you're doing timed tests yourself, it's still a significant difference from the timed test during the LSAT, during the day you're actually doing it. There are also further impacts that, second guessing may be masking, and I'll go through those as well. So really, the good news, like I said, it can be addressed head on no matter where you're in studying. And the solution is kind of a bullet point. I like bullet points, and it's easy for me to kind of comprehend and go down a list. I don't know if anyone else likes that. So really the first one is to identify and record which questions you changed your answer. So I think we talked about it tonight. We've talked about it many nights before, and we're probably going to talk about it in many classes in the future. I'm a big proponent of the Excel spreadsheet and recording down your answers. It's a very, very good way to see where you're getting things wrong. So this fits into that. Identify and record the answers that you changed an answer, that you lingered on and thought if you moved on to the next question, or if you manually checked all the answers after coming up with the solution. And that's a game specific, just because I know on LR, generally you should probably still read all the answer choices. But for games, if you've come up with the solution and it's proven there, checking all of them, you might want to put that down. Once you've identified the questions which you've second guessed, see if there's any patterns to this. Was it a certain question type? Was it the language that confused you? Was it a certain section? Was it the beginning of a section opposed to the end of a section? And actually what I should is I'll read the chat quickly as well, because I've had that closed just in case there are any questions. This is also, my presentation, I want it to be open. If you have questions during it, let me know, just so I don't talk at you for a period of time. So yeah, going on that, was it the beginning or end of a section? Consolidating that, it can really help you laser focus as to say, okay, what were the ones that I second guessed on? And then third, once you've done all that, benchmark yourself to see what a timed and simulated test would look like by forcing yourself to not have any second guessed answers. So go into the test knowing that I cannot second guess an answer. As soon as it's down, it's down. I can't, I have to move on and I have to think about it. And this will reveal a couple things, and it does for me as well. If your score is worse without you second guessing yourself, then that's good, because now you know that the second guessing was being used as a crutch to bridge partial understanding of the material. So you might not have fully understood what it was. Maybe you got lucky and second guessed. Maybe you could narrow it down, but you don't fully understand why the answer was the answer that is correct. That makes a big impact on test day, because again, a timed or untimed test doing it yourself compared to the test, there's going to be different pressures. There's going to be different morale levels that'll make an impact. If your score is better, then you know that you've second guessed has clouded your clear understanding of the material. So this is also good because it's a good morale booster for you, saying, hey, my second guessing does not benefit me in any way. So on the test day, you can go in saying, I know this 100%. I know the material. I don't have to second guess myself. I don't have to believe that maybe something else. I can clearly leave the question when it is done. And lastly, I'll just mention another point, how this can kind of work in your favor. If you have the opposite problem that some of us have, in terms that you go too fast, being able to force yourself and saying, well, I can't second guess myself here, it might force you to slow down and maybe read a little bit slower. For any of you that have, problems with speeding through it too much, that might be something that you can benefit from. So really to tie it all together, why is it important? So the timing, and I know we talked a little bit about timing tonight as well. If you second guessed 5 questions on each section and taken, an extra 30 seconds or so, that amounts to 2.5 minutes. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that could be an extra 2 questions. And if that's an extra 2 questions that you potentially could get right on each section, that's 6-7 questions that you potentially could get right that you might not have gotten to. That could be a massive material change in your overall score. So it can definitely help there. Morale, like I've kind of mentioned earlier, say your least favorite section is first on test day. If you second guessed the first question, the second question, the third question, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel absolutely horrible. And you're going to carry that with you throughout the rest of the test. And again, it can make a real impact on your result. So if you go in there with the confidence, knowing that you don't have to second guess, it's going to translate through the entire test. And then lastly, this is something that impacts me significantly, given that sometimes I can find where my mind wanders when I dig into a question or when I linger on it a lot, a focused mind. The test requires a high degree of focus, and lingering on old questions, it's a double-edged blade, because you will impact the question before and you will impact the question that you're on now. And that's really not going to help you in any way. So making sure that you can fight those habits, not second guess yourself, going in with full confidence, that will do wonders to allowing you to continue focusing on. A couple examples that I'll just go over myself. I'm going through a lot of the earlier prep tests. So some of these prep tests you might not have gone through yet. They're from prep test 19 and prep test 20. On prep test 19, on the first game, I overthought something. It was a very easy question. I went back to it, changed the answer, and lo and behold, I changed it from a right answer to a wrong answer because I lingered on and kept on thinking about it. Again, on prep test 20, on section 2, on the LR section, again, I second guessed myself, thought about the question in a different way, forgot some information as I was continuing to think about it, went back, changed my answer, the answer was wrong. So, it's impacted me. So doing this and being more cognizant of it is something that, I think will help me. I hope it helps you. Let me know kind of what your thoughts on it are. If you think this is beneficial, then that's great. If you don't, that's also great. Let me know. But I thought this is something that might not always be at the forefront of people's minds when studying for the LSAT. And I think it can have a wide-ranging impact on many different things during the test. So anyone who has comments or questions, or maybe you do this and you do it in a different way, and let me know your different way. Let the group know your different way. And I'll read the chat. What do you know to keep your mind focused and your morale up? Or anyone, what do you do? Well, there's probably a lot to do. This is just a portion of it. But again, confidence in answers and eliminating second guessing is what I would say is, a piece of the pie. If you're confident in your abilities, let me rephrase this. If you're not confident in your abilities on your own test simulated conditions, then that will be massively overstated during the test. I haven't taken the test yet. Anyone who has can chime in. I assume the pressures, the anxieties are much higher on actual test day than you yourself in your own place saying, well, I'm going to set my watch and see what happens. But yeah, trying to hype myself up. But yeah, do you guys think that this is, of some benefit, or have you employed this, or, have you seen score impacts yourself when you second guess, or has second guessing ever been a problem for you?
Matt, I just wanted to say that I've kind of implemented part of your presentation, and the part that I'm talking about is the not second guessing myself, and that's mainly true for logic games. Mm-hmm. What I've started doing for my time sections is that whenever I know an answer is correct, instead of going through all the other ones just to double check, I choose my right answer or the answer that I think is correct, and I move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that not only has that helped with my timing per like individual game, but it also helps with my confidence and not getting like my spirits down.
Yeah, 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 and that's something I'm really big on, and something that again might take a back seat and has taken a back seat even in my own preparation and until I've actually consciously thought about this. But we're all prepping for a test, so we're all looking at the material the vast majority of the time. We don't often think about the secondary effects, like the morale, like the clear mind. And I think this second guessing is really something that if you can eliminate that, you can eliminate some of the potential pressures, impacts that those have on test day. And that's why I say this is something that anyone can do no matter where they are in their study, because if you're just conscious about it, it can make a change.
I just want to thank you, Matt, for putting this together. I think this is enormously useful, and it's a topic that comes up here and there, but doesn't get enough focus, really. I hear from so many students personally who say, I second guess myself, which means I linger too long, or I switch it from right to wrong. And so again, that idea of tracking, once again, tracking what's happening. Are your switches or second guesses serving you, or are they just bogging you down and actually leading you to get more questions wrong? So I'm glad that you're raising awareness around this and encouraging folks to think more deliberately about it. Another thing you mentioned that was, I think, just in passing, but in a way could be its own entire presentation, is around how the mental environment or your emotions or your adrenaline on test day itself is very different from what you're doing untimed or even timed work when you know it's not the real thing.
Yes. Yeah. And and that's good to know, because mine is really speculation, given that I haven't taken the test. I've taken other standardized tests, and I know that's the case for those, so I can assume that's the case for this. And yeah, it is, any small issue that you might think, such as the second guessing and its impact on your morale, that might be something minor during your own studies, will be hugely magnified during test day. And it's better to nip it in the butt now when you can, and you can make a conscious effort to do so, than finding out about it on test day. So that's really big. And the other thing that one of the things that I took away from putting this presentation together as well is the second guessing used as a crutch to mask partial understanding of the material. Again, partial understanding of the material, if you're narrowing it down to 2 questions, or you come back to one, and if you get them right, you might move on. And again, on test day, stresses will be different. Maybe that looks different. Maybe you won't be able to do that. So eliminating that and identifying that you are using second guessing as a crutch, and making sure that you focus on those sections or areas that you need to through that Excel or through whatever kind of identifying method you use, is something that I'll be continuing to do for myself.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So again, just adding some tracking and documentation and really some more science around the murkiness of the process and all the ambiguities inherent within it.
Yeah, and it literally does not have to be fancy. Like, this isn't part of my presentation, but I'll just show, like, this is, it's very, very, very basic, very, very basic Excel, just writing things down and then writing your thoughts on it and being super critical with your own answers. That was something else that, when you identify and record your answers, be super critical with the way that you do so. You're just talking to yourself, so you don't need to gussy it up for anyone. You can be like, wow, I was really not smart there, and here's the reasons why.
Matt, that was such a tease how you showed that to everybody for just a second. Everyone's doing a double take, like, what was that? Can you go back there? But we'll leave that as something for another day if you're ever open to sharing more. I'm sure
that is fine. Yeah,
the folks
that
in
is
your
fine.
Study group are like, we know.
Yeah, I'm getting a few direct messages for it, so yes.
I imagine so.
Yeah, but yeah, that was all I had for today. again, it wasn't as, pinpointed in terms of, the overall material substance, but I think it's something that is important. I hope it helps, or I hope it at least makes you think about it in a different way. And I hope it helps on, no matter if you're taking it in January or April like myself, or you haven't decided and you might be taking it and waiting for them to release the flex dates or non-flex dates of May, June, or whenever it is.
Well, thanks again, Matt, for putting this together. I'm sure folks got a lot of value out of it, and you're getting lots of positive feedback in the chat. We're coming close. You're getting so many thank yous in the chat.